guys, how's it going? Welcome to the Shrewsbury Biscuit podcast. I hope you guys are having a great week. It's just me on my own today, just the single biscuiteer joining you. And today I'm joined by Jamie Edwards from Shrewsbury Town and the community. You may remember a few weeks back, I covered an event at the football ground where Shrewsbury Town and the community had opened up their 4G pitches to the homeless community or to the outreach communities, mainly Shrewsbury Arc, so that the guys can go and use the 4G pitches and enjoy a bit of free time. And obviously, between now and then, a lot has happened and stunted a lot of what people were doing, as far as getting out of the community and helping people. We've all had to adapt. So Jamie's here today to talk about ways in which Shrewsbury Town and the community has adapted and trying to help people. Firstly, how are you, Jamie? Are you okay?
Yeah, very well, thank you. Very well. Had an extended break in South Shropshire where I live, so it was one of the positives out of lockdown is you get to spend lots of time at home with your family and your friends. So not so much your friends, mainly your family, and you can go from there.
Yeah, it's been an odd one for me. I mean, like I've been concentrating on making content, trying to keep the show going. And I'm a key worker as well. So going out to work and fitting all that in with time with the family. Yesterday was like the first day since lockdown where I could actually, because of social distancing, we can go and use a family member's garden.
Yeah.
So we went and sat in the garden for the day. And I kind of went Patrick Starfish afterwards, so I'm a little bit pink, but give it a couple of days and I'll look like a Mediterranean god. I'll go like kind of brown. It'll look great. I've got a few shout outs to do actually before we get into this. I want to give a shout out to all the businesses that are starting to sort of slowly reopen throughout Shrewsbury and everywhere else. A certain shout out goes to Stop Cafe. They've dropped some nice positive posts about how they're reopening safely. So there's like a one in, one out kind of basis. So if you want to go and get a coffee from there, you can go there now. Just be sensible with it, of course. Also, High Five Tennis. Our friends at High Five Tennis, they've opened. I think so. Tennis is like socially distanced anyway. You want one's either side of the court, isn't it? So that they're great. They've just reopened there. And Shrewsbury Canoe Hire as well. I've been speaking to them this week. We're going to try and do a show with them. I want to try and do a show where we can record a podcast on a boat in the river, which is going to be a task and a half because we've got hundreds of pounds worth of equipment that we're going to put on a place where it could potentially get wet. So head scratcher, but if we can get it done, it'll sound amazing. And then finally to the mayor, Phil Gillam, who's staying on as the mayor until November, I believe. An extended appointment as mayor, and then the new mayor will take over and do an 18-month stint after him. It makes sense. This has been our current mayor's problem to sort, and he's doing all he can. So, yeah, let's go into it. Shrewsbury Town community. I love what you guys do. I've mentioned that on the last show. You guys have been going for many years now. You've raised quite a bit as well, haven't you, for people in the community over the years?
Yeah, we've been going for almost 25 years.
Yeah.
Or being said, when we started as football in the community, I think around 1995, 96. Predominantly back in the years then, it was around soccer schools, after school clubs, and a way to engage the football club with the local community. So to try and get more supporters, more young supporters, junior supporters that can come and support Shrewsbury Town Football Club. Obviously, as things all do, that we evolve over the years. We turned into charity status in 2008. That obviously opened up different avenues. And now we work on four main themes of participation, inclusion, health and education. So across there is a broad range of 30, 32, 33 different projects that are usually all operational unless you're in the middle of a pandemic and trying to work miracles to keep things going. So, yeah, it's a really interesting charity to work for, and it's obviously vital to some people at this time at the moment for the services that we've started to offer probably over the past 5-6 years. Some of those services are vital that we've managed to continue, which we're really fortunate about, and we're really working hard to even improve them during this time as well, which is great.
Yeah, I mean, when I turned up a few weeks ago at the club, there seemed to be quite quite a good array of resources available to you guys. Because on that particular day, you had a football player walking around, greeting people as they came in. The chairman was there. The press were there. It seems like you guys have really kind of managed to, use everything that's available to you in a really positive way.
Yeah, we're really lucky. Obviously, you have the platform of the football club. We are the football club's charity as such. And we, like I said, we work on those platforms to engage with the local community. It's come away from the let's get bums on seats at stadiums now, and let's use the brand and the power of football and the football club to make a difference, whether that's helping people out that are homeless, or whether it's people recovering from cancer, or a young child coming to play their first ever football training session at 3-4 years old. It's such an array of projects that we do. So to have, like I said, have the platform and the facilities at the football club and the stadium and the players is massive to us, and it's been vital during this time. Again, to be able to continue our work, to pull on all of those resources and support that we have to enhance our offers or adapt them so that we can make them work.
Yeah, I was really impressed. Not just about the resources you had, but how you guys utilise that. It's very professional, and it's worked in a way that where it can be all the areas, like the 4 key areas that you've got, can be efficient. You've got certain people that are head of certain areas, and all working brilliantly with their certain areas of the community. It was really nice to see. I met so many great people that day. It was lovely.
Yeah, no, we're like I said, we're a growing workforce. I think we've got, although some unfortunately have to be on furlough at the moment, to make sure that we have the long-term future of the charity and supporting the community. But I think we're up to sort of 28, 29 members of staff now that are salaried, and probably the same amount that come in and help on a temporary or part-time basis, plus our seasonal workers as well over the summer periods that are usually really busy. And like I said, we're finding ways around being busy over this summer as well, and like I said, continuing to engage with those people that really need the engagement and need the support during this time.
Yeah, it was as nice as it was to see everything that was going on. What's happened recently must have felt like a terrible kick in the teeth for you guys, because it seems like everything had just fallen into place, right? And you guys were gelling on a really good level. So the COVID-19 thing must have been terrible for you guys.
Yeah, I think like most people, it obviously came out of the unexpected, I should say. And as much as you can try and plan for business disaster recoveries and stuff like that, until you're actually in it, you don't know how strong your framework is, or the projects that you're doing, and whether they'll stand up to whatever the crisis is. So we were and we are now still in a good place. We had lots of partnerships all over the community that were flourishing in terms of the partnership that we started with the Arc on the day that you were in was fantastic. And unfortunately, they only had one session because it was literally right on the cusp of all of this starting. So it was it's disappointing in that fact that we've probably lost a lot of momentum in terms of our face-to-face delivery that we have. And like I said, the football team not even playing on a Saturday is a real big thing for not just ourselves, but other local businesses that rely on the football club, whether that's caterers, food suppliers, pubs, clubs, whatever it can be on that match day, that when Shrewsbury Town are playing, the retail park across the road is usually a lot busier with families visiting the retail park before they go into the match and stuff like that. So I think by a football club, I think it does show how much football means to both Shropshire and also how much football means to the whole country with it being called off. I know not everybody's a football fan out there, but not so much the missing of it, but how much it does support. I think the Premier League gave something like 6.6 billion to the government last year. So for football not to be played and to have 12 months off, and I know it's all about the safety and getting the players back safe and making sure we can do it, but football gives so much more back to this country than probably people realised before.
Economically, yeah, the economy must be really struggling from that because it's a huge slice. What kind of information do you have on how football clubs are actually coping with all this? I mean, like, I take it the players are still getting paid, but there's no revenue coming in. How are like smaller clubs like Shrewsbury going to survive through this? Have you guys got any idea?
It's $1 million question. I think Brian, the club's chief executive, was on the radio this morning saying it's up to a £2 million hit that the club are going to actually take in terms of loss of revenue over this time. So it's a difficult one. Thankfully, Shrewsbury Town are in a really good position. They've had a good board and good chairman over the years that have put them in this place, and the stadium and the outside revenue that brings has helped. I think you'll find a lot of clubs, I think there's 10 at the moment that are in danger of going into administration already, which is frightening in a way. I know they lost a little bit of income during the end of the season, but to be this close to going into administration, technically we're only a week over the end of what the normal season would have been. So it does make you think, why are they almost there? The majority of lower league clubs are propped up by the TV money that again comes from the Premier League and Sky TV. So that will continue as long as they're still in existence. So I would have thought that a lot of clubs would put obviously their main budgeting on that TV money because it's guaranteed. And then obviously you have your season ticket holders and your spend and your match day income. And then whatever individual clubs do in terms of Shrewsbury Town obviously have hospitality there. 300, every day of the year practically.
Yeah.
So that brings them outside income. So people will be going into their savings accounts, and some of the clubs that aren't run as well will be looking at their owners or their directors to bail them out over this time and get them through. Lots of the lower league clubs will be furloughing staff. I know Shrewsbury Town have done that. We as a charity have had to do that, and that is probably the one single best form of income that businesses have had at the moment, which government should take a lot of credit for there, because that has saved thousands. I know there's thousands jobs at risk, but it has also saved millions of jobs, I would have thought, in terms of how that's come out. So it'll be an really interesting thought of how football comes back from this, and I think I'm hoping that Shrewsbury Town will come back very competitive, in that they've had these reserves, they're in a good position going into this. Hopefully they can come out stronger. And those clubs that probably have been a little bit, who aren't as fortunate, maybe fortunate or maybe have had bad management in terms of their finances over the years. I'm talking about the bigger clubs that have large crowds and rely on that, or rely on times that they were in the Premier League. I hope they come back, and the gap has probably we've got a little bit closer to those big clubs in our league, and probably hopefully become back more competitive and more of a favourite to hopefully get into that championship that every supporter wants to do.
I think there's going to be a huge, so we look at these pictures and videos that we've seen over the last couple of days of people being swarming on the beach and out there in the sun, and there's lots of negativity around it, but the only positive thing I can take from that is that people will bounce back to get back to those creature comforts, those things that they enjoy. So, like, when it comes to like football, people will be missing football. I know I am. That's just I'm missing all kinds of sport. I was just getting into the NFL, and it's just like, I was just getting into stuff like that. I can't wait to get back to watching football and things like that. And people they will come back, and they'll come back in. I mean, the football club having such a big voice in the town, I guarantee there'll be a rally behind getting everyone back at the stadium. So, positive.
I think there'd be a vacuum, weren't there, in terms of I actually bought a bike last week, and you couldn't get hold of a bike for love and the money, because everyone is taking up cycling at the moment because it's the only thing you can do. Tennis that you just spoke about, and golf and canoeing, all of a sudden families and people are going to be out doing what they can do. So I think there's going to be a real vacuum when football does come back, that it's almost like that you've been starved of it for a while, you're going to have to go and get your fix of football. So hopefully if the club and us as a community scheme are in the right position at the right time, then we can take advantage of that to the best we can. And like I said, it's all about, we've gone through lots of stages through this in terms of like managing the crisis of the work from home, making sure people are being engaged with, and then adapting what you do to to ensure we can continue to engage during the period. And now it's very much about how strong can we come back when the lockdown is finished officially, and hopefully when a vaccine is there, or we're back to what they're calling the new normal, is how strong can you actually be in terms of your output and your delivery and the club as a whole, really.
I read an interesting book of the week by Joanna Dodd Macy. She's a huge part of the corporate world in America, and she's a psychologist, and she was talking about how actually, do you know what, the whole world is suffering through grief at the moment. The grievance oh my God. We're suffering through grief, the 5 stages of grief. And so what happens is, we go for those stages, the denial, which is what the people are on the beach. Then there's the acceptance of everything, and that process. But what goes into that is, my first initial response to this was not panic, but kind of, I hit the depression stage straight away. I was like, oh my God, man, we were just about to hit the big time with the show. We're about to go everywhere. And what we're going to do? Then we had to adapt. And then I sat down and wrote plans. I sat there and I planned things, and I've put things into motion now that we can actually be a good help for the town. And I guess that's similar to what you guys have done. You've sat and you've made plans on how to adapt. And that's what your new ideas seem like. You've sat there, you've made plans, and this is what you're going to do. So what have you guys put into place?
Well, like I said, I think that the first thing was, when we were in, probably easier to explain the sort of process we've gone through. In terms of the crisis, we see 14,000 unique participants a year. So when you're talking about a crisis, you're thinking, how are we going to ensure that we're still engaging with those people? So we narrowed that down and said, who are the most vulnerable participants we've got? So our extra time club that you saw when you came down, the over 70s within that group, the ones that are at risk of trips and falls in their own house, probably not being able to get out to the supermarket, going to have to isolate for long periods. Then we looked at our disability groups that we have playing, and thinking, right, how are we going to engage with them? Because again, they're going to have a long period away from any engagement, any health and fitness. They struggle to get any meaningful fitness work or health work during the week anyway. So how are we going to engage with those? And then our final one was our cancer recovery program that we run with Lincoln Davis Trust. That's usually a meet at the ground, and they have a 6-week training program while they're recovering or living with cancer. And obviously that is vital. And that was hugely shown in the press about how the cancer, anybody suffering with cancer needed to be shielded as a priority. So we looked at ways in how we can engage them. So there's thousands of phone calls that have been going on now, and keeping that engagement, helping where we can with that. And then it was credit to the staff that we have, that we started to look at different ways we could adapt. That we wanted to be a little bit different as well. That's just probably our pride more than anything talking there. But a lot of people went along the lines of, right, let's do a Joe Wicks workout and let's record what we're doing and just shove it up on YouTube. And if people engage with it, that's fine. And a short-term fix, that really works. But when you're talking about social isolation, it's the interaction. It's like what we're having now, where there is a video screen that we're looking at each other. There's a lot of our over 70s group and the cancer recovery group are going to be in that situation where they can watch a video, they can watch TV. That's for me, that's not curing social isolation. It might be curing inactivity in the house or in the home, but it's not giving them that interaction they need. So we invested in a platform that allows us to interact with up to 6 people, very similar to Zoom, but you're more in a studio type setting. So you're in control of it. You can show your PowerPoints, you can show videos. We then, that obviously with the staff that we've got, that luckily they're sports or football coaches in the main, that they're used to adapting every day. It might be that they've done a session for 16 kids, but 20 have turned up. So how do you adapt on the spot? And you found that every day these sessions were getting better. It evolved from somebody in their front room sort of hopping up and down to, right, we'll get the equipment in now, and what can we lift this baked bean can, because that's the same as an armchair aerobic session. So what can we how can we adapt and what can we do? So all of a sudden we're already up to well over 20 live, what we're calling live sessions. So we did one session with Millbrook Primary School. I think there was 300 engagements from all of the pupils over that time. So this platform has 6 people in the studio, but then it also streams live through to YouTube or Facebook, depending where you want to. So the students are allowed to, the kids in such are engaging if they're not in the studio through YouTube, and anything they comment can come back through to our teacher and their teacher. And it was fantastic to see that these kids that are in lockdown that probably want to speak to their teacher had that platform to actually do that.
Yeah.
And when you've got the likes of Joe Hart and Dave Edwards, and I think we've got Tom Bradshaw today as a former player, taking part with Sevendale Special School in PE lessons, it's actually then you start looking at that growth mindset, thinking this is a real big opportunity for us. And some of these things we're going to have to keep afterwards because they have been so successful. Where else would you get a former England captain as a goalkeeper taking part in one of our sessions? And he's still active player. It's not like it's his time off, his training and the rest of it. So to have that sort of interaction and it has been fantastic to watch as we've kind of adapted to this situation. And we've had stories where Kate Lindley, our health activator that runs our extra time hubs, we're trying to get more and more on technology, and I'll go on to the funding that we've got to help that. But there's a group within there that are friends, obviously outside of our group, and they hadn't heard from one of what we call the members of our group for 2 or 3 days. So Kate got in a car and actually went and banged on the door of this individual during lockdown, just to see if she was there, obviously safely with social distancing. Found out from the next door neighbour that this individual had been taken into hospital because she'd had a fall, but she was okay, thankfully. And Kate then went back and spoke to the members and said, look, she's in hospital, she's fine. And those people that are isolated in lockdown haven't got many people to talk about. Even myself, you find yourself stewing over ideas when you've got more time on your hands. I can imagine that is quite distressing when you're worried about someone and you can't get hold of them. So those little acts of kindness, I suppose, are going a massively long way. We had a player over the weekend, again, Dave Edwards, rang one of our what were they? Shrewsbury, so our disability group. He was Evan, I think he was 9 or 10, and it was to wish him happy birthday and have 15 minutes of him, again using this platform like Zoom. Those opportunities won't come up, so I know it's a terrible situation that everybody's in, and there's lots of people dying, there's lots of people that are poorly, but there are some massive positives in terms of family time and interaction, and going on to trying to get more people online in technology. We've now invested through some funding through the Community Foundation into some tablets. So we're actually loaning tablets out, and we've got them so it's simple to set up to get onto a Zoom session. So those that aren't interacting, who are really lonely, we're interacting with a face-to-face delivery. I know it's over a screen. I know it's not perfect, but actually it's better than what some people are currently getting. I think my grandparents might go 2 or 3 days without seeing people in normal time. So let alone lockdown, that is even worse. So I was excited to hear when the postman came when it first started. It's those little things you've got to remember that sometimes it's not great, massive amounts of money or cost that go to doing a really good act within the community.
And it's those small acts of, you know, in comparison to everything that's going on at the moment, you know, going to somebody's house and knocking on the door and making sure they're okay, that's priceless to someone. You know, that means the world to that person, and the fact that you guys have got the resources available and the compassion to act on with them resources is just fantastic. It's a great use of you know, of the things that are around us. And you know, we're talking about adapting. We've all adapted with Zoom and what we're using now. It's evolving. We're evolving. We're you know, like you said, me and you are having this conversation now. We've all done that because, you know, there are positives to negatives, you know. So the COVID-19, it's locked the whole planet down, but we're all still talking, you know. There's everybody's still going. And so you've been phone calls as well. That's you know, people forget that, you know, we walk around with these things in our pockets. But
Yeah.
the main reason we have them is so we can pick up the phone and actually speak to someone over it. That's great.
Yeah, I think it's been massive, and also you underestimate. I mean, we've never been any type of call center, but King Paul Kate, who's been busy, it's not a 2-3 minute call, and it's not a text where you can wait 5 minutes for a text to come back. Every call that you make to somebody that is at home in lockdown at the moment, people want to talk. Everyone has slowed down a little bit, and it's 15-20 minutes. And when you've got 50 people in your extra time hub, that you're talking 2 days work just to make your weekly phone calls. So as much as it sounds like an act of kindness, as a resource for us, and that's probably where we're adapting and where we're looking at, and probably worrying a little bit of the transition period now as people come out of lockdown. We're going to have to keep these services going for people that are in lockdown longer, but also try and start up some of our original or pre-COVID, if you like, pre-COVID projects that we've got running, and our resources are going to be very thin. I mean, we're very proud that we've got 16, 17 people still working that haven't been furloughed. We've had to take that opportunity to use the furlough system in terms of a lot of the face-to-face delivery has stopped, and we physically couldn't afford to keep everybody on to do what we've done. So we're proud that we're not like some other charities and football clubs that have literally hibernated over this time. And I'm a true believer, and I suppose I should be in my position, but I'm lucky enough that the chairman and the chief exec of the football club feel the same, that this is a community football club, and you should be seen during a crisis to be helping out your community. Now, we couldn't help with the food deliveries. We could donate our help. Don't get me wrong, but we're not that sort of charity that sets up to deliver food and go next door. So we were gutted at that first instant when we were like, "Why our staff safety was at the forefront, and our participant safety was at the forefront of our mind." We couldn't be seen to be. I know some of the bigger clubs have managed to do it in some sort of way of setting up food centres and whatnot, but the club has a COVID test centre within its grounds at the moment.
Yeah, I've seen that. Yeah,
the Shrews family project that we've started to sort of group everything that we're doing together around this crisis is growing on a day-to-day basis, and our isolation packs that are slightly different to the food packs. I think we're really fortunate in Shropshire that the people that have the Shrewsbury Food Hub and whatnot have done an unbelievable job, and the little community teams that have set up has shown what a lovely place Shropshire is to live, and that people, if they need to, they will look after each other. So I think it's shown that in good light, and it was just us. We needed to find a avenue in that we can make a meaningful contribution. That was my big thing. We had a lot of calls at the start. We should be doing something. We should be doing this. We should be doing that. And the Shrews family it's not just the 50 calls now. It's the 500 over 70 season ticket holders that we're working through. And I think there's 300-400 calls now that we've gone into that, and they're being redirected into our extra time hub, some into our cancer recovery, unfortunately, but fortunately, because we can offer them something, and they're really appreciative of that call. And like I said, those little gestures now are going to be what keeps us together, and we're not doing it indirectly to get support as a football club. We're doing it because we care.
Yes,
and ultimately, there is going to be times in the future where the football club will need its community. Needs its community up, don't get me wrong, every time, but it might need it that little bit more when football comes back, and it'll be behind closed doors and stuff like that. It will need the community support in some way to be as strong as it can possibly be, because if it wasn't, we wouldn't have been able to offer this as a charity. I guarantee that there's some clubs of League One standard clubs where their community schemes and clubs have just hibernated. They're in lockdown. They're not allowed out. They're not doing anything. And I find that criminal. I know it could be financial reasons for it, but this is a time where staff should be volunteering and whatnot to help their local community.
Yeah, well, this is the thing, isn't it? You don't need money to show support, and support should go two ways. It shouldn't just be one way. If you think of it as a giant favor, you give someone a favor, you owe them a favor, And if you're going to help your community, then it's only right that your community should help you in return. And this is what I got from when I came to see you guys, is that everybody cares. The people that you guys got working with you guys, they care. they really genuinely care about the people that they work with, you know, and that's why I think you guys are going on to do what you guys do. Not only have they got you as a great leader, but they've got like you members of your team that like they're worried about the people that they work with, you know, the individuals, not the group as a whole, as their individuals. What was I going to say? I was going to say something, and I completely forgot. It was a really valid point as well. It's funny how many times that happened on a podcast. Right? Oh yeah, that's what is an isolation pack? What is an isolation pack?
So Shrews family, we were lucky enough to receive just under £8,000 worth of funding, and that was to pull Shrews family together. The vast majority of that has gone on to the tailored isolation packs. And the rest of it has gone on ways in which we can engage in furthering. So a lot of it is on technology, like you said at this time, trying to equip our staff to be able to actually deliver what they need to deliver. Shropshire internet is a bit hit and miss all over the county.
Tell me about it.
What it's like. So we've had to come over those barriers, but the isolation packs are what, again, something we're really proud of in that. They're tailored depending what group. So, for example, if people have signed up to our online Kick Cancer group, which I think is one of the only in Shropshire that is still working with people that are recovering from cancer during this time. Obviously, resources within the NHS and the rest have had to be redirected for good reason. But if you're on that course, you're getting a pack that's worth well over £25, and that might be a Pilates ball, it might be a fitness mat, it might be there's some vitamin drinks in there. There's a tablet if they haven't got a lone tablet that we're sending out so they can actually connect with us and whatnot. So it might be that son or daughter has got their mum or dad to say, look, this is something that you can do. Well, I haven't got the technology. Well, we're starting to break down those barriers with it. We're also looking at some of those vulnerable kids that we had a real sad story the other day. Well, not a sad story, a stat that depending on what year group you're in, and if schools go back next week, and there's obviously lots of controversy on that, there's going to be some children that haven't been to school for 6 months. I've got a 3.5-year-old, or just under 4 now, at home now. He hasn't had interaction with another child for the best part of 9-10 weeks, and you do worry a little bit about the damage that may cause long term. So we're looking into that group of what you call vulnerable students or pupils. And I know Shropshire's got the highest percentage, or one of the highest in the country, of how they've managed to engage with them. But there is still that individual that we feel we've got a place as a football club with a footballer to say, right, let's put a tablet in that house. If you come and do our literacy lesson or our free maths lesson that we're running, here's the tablet, here's the cone, here's the mini football that you need, here's to get you active and your family active. And that might hopefully in turn run into cooking classes to make sure that family that might be struggling, not have the ideas, and obviously there are takeaways reopening and whatnot, but they need the right type of food. Those ones on free school meals, can we engage with the club chef to put on some online cooking lessons or play some online cooking lessons? And like I say, if that individual, the vulnerable child is football mad, that they may just well engage with us. And you don't know that effect from now over the summer holidays to September, when hopefully we can all get back to some normality. If we can reduce that gap that in years to come might cause a employment gap between communities and a life chance, basically, is what we're giving them, is that 6 months could be unrecoverable for some of these. And if we could stop that, then I think we've done our job as a community charity, to be honest.
That's fantastic. That is fantastic. And you know what, I'm one of the parents whose kids I've been given the option to go back in June. And it's been a huge talking point. I mean, first of all, big shout out to the teachers, the nurseries, people that are going out and interacting with the kids on the seesaw and the apps that they use there, because it has been fantastic, being in constant touch with the teachers and then given the work and the groups where parents get together and chat on WhatsApp. It's fantastic how everybody has kept together. But yeah, my little boy is going to be one of those guys. He's in reception or in early years, so he's going to be going back in June. Now my wife kind of overruled me because I was undecided, and she was like, "No, he's going back," and I was like, "Okay." I'm not going to win that argument, so we're going to see how that goes. It's going to be straight.
We're sending our little one back into nursery. I think it's a vital thing that they need.
Yeah.
I know you're talking about the safety and the rest of it, and the schools will do their utmost. But I'm of the opinion, my wife's a teacher, so she's going back in anyway.
Yeah.
So if she carries it back into the household, if you go into a supermarket, I think we've got to do it. At some time. I think people have got to, and schools are going to make sure it's safe.
Yeah,
they're not going to open if it's not safe. So
that's going on at the moment. Yeah, I've got faith. I've got absolute faith, and kids are kids, aren't they? They got their fingers and mouths and everything. So, I mean, whether they're at school or not, kids aren't the hygiene isn't of the utmost importance to a 5-year-old. So whether at school or not, they're icky monsters, and we'll see how it goes. You're speaking about initiatives that you've got going on. Where do you guys move forward after COVID-19? What are your plans? I mean, it's hard to say right now, isn't it, what's going to happen, but what would you like to do?
What would I like to do? I don't think we'll go back to what we had before, not completely. I think there'll be lots of different ways in how we work, and I think that's a good thing. I think our main kind of drive or always is on what is the local need. So we're trying to preempt that local need in potentially employability will be something that will be massive going forward in terms of there will be people that will lose jobs here. So those people that want a career change, it might be more around our sports coaching and sports teaching degrees that we deliver, or business sport management degrees that we're trying to develop. It might be more around there. It's definitely going to be around social isolation. I think there's going to be some work done about confidence of people coming back out as well. I think that's going to be very difficult to go through. So in the main, like I said, I'd love to see if we can get everything back up and running. While this has come through, I must admit, I've looked at my phone, and the government are talking about how grassroots football, they want it back before a vaccine, and there's going to be possible changes with the rules and size of numbers of teams playing and stuff like that. Wow. So it's positive that they're thinking about it and ways in how it comes back. So I think in the main, we've just got to stay open-minded at the moment and continue to serve the community in what we're doing and meeting those needs that are going to pop up. I'm sure there'll be a change in direction and a change in need. There seems to be, I'm sure you were the same, that first couple of weeks of the lockdown, it was changing it on a day-to-day, if not hour-to-hour basis. So schools are shutting, schools aren't, this is happening, that is happening. So hopefully it has settled down. Again, I see it. I don't know. It's really hard to preempt, but I think the employability one will be something that we'll look at as a charity to really engage with. We're still working really hard on getting our new facility in place and a new building. The new building was very much around our capacity in what we can deliver on educational and traineeship type programs and employability programs. So hopefully, again, if we can come out of this in a strong position, both staff-wise, what we deliver, and financially, we can really press forward with that building, because I think that'll be a massive part of the recovery. I don't think Shropshire's going to be, I hope anyway, that Shropshire's not going to be as worse hit as what some of the other parts in the country are going to be in terms of that employability strand that's going to be needed. But again, if we can help out in any way, I think that's probably where it's going to be. Yeah. And I suppose there's going to be a lot of inactivity. As much as Joe Wicks has done his daily lessons and people have found different ways of exercising, not everybody has.
No, I agree. I mean, we see a lot of people cycling at the moment, a lot of people are running, things like that. But in comparison to the whole population of Shropshire, that's a small amount of people, we've got to say.
Yeah, and I think you'll find that people will go out for a walk a day and that's their exercise, but they didn't realise how active they were at work. So I think there will be something around the knock-on effects within health of, like I said, that prolonged period of where they haven't had their services, social services, whatever it may be. And like I said, that catch-up on life gaps between vulnerable students is something that we're looking in closely, and I've put in some applications for some funding to see if we can help and assist the primary schools and secondary schools in engaging with those hard to reach children, to be honest.
Yeah. We'll see. I mean, I miss the cop. You know, the studio's been closed, and every time I go to cop, I go to the studio. I'd walk up the cop, and I go there. Yeah. You know, at least 2-3 times a week when we were recording and stuff. And I miss that. I've got to say, my body does. That's for sure. All I'll say is, this whole thing has been a massive test for you guys, because even though things have been hard for you, you've still remained active and you've looked for ways to adapt. And if you guys can get through this test, and you can get through anything, I'm going to say. So I feel like after this, you guys are going to thrive, because you've showed, you've been swimming upstream, and soon the current will change. Where can people find Shrewsbury Town community, and how can they help, more importantly?
There's 2 ways they can help at the moment. One, to find out the information, sorry, I'll go that first, it's easier. It's our website, which is www.stitc.com. That has changed from what it was over this period as well. It's been a bit abbreviated and easier to get to. And then in terms of how they could help, I'll put the financial thing out at the moment. That's the biggest thing for us at the moment. We're sending out 200 isolation packs next week. We know that's growing. That number is growing on a daily basis with the phone calls that we're making, and more people are starting to interact with our services. So through the Shrews family, if you go on Just Giving and Shrews family, or the football club website, or our website, you can see that you can donate. Like I said, it's around £25 per isolation pack. 200 have gone out already. I think we're going to need another 200 by the end of next month that are going out. So we are looking at another £5,000, and we haven't, as a charity, got that money. It's unfair for others, for the football club to be putting that in with what they're already doing in terms of their engagement with the community.
What's the average sort of attendance weekly? Off the top of your head, just an average sort of number of the stadium. How many people usually come in?
Of the fans, it's around 6,500. I'd have thought would be the average this year.
So if 6,000 people reach into their pockets now, it dropped just a fiver, that's a pint. There's a bit more than a pint. It's a couple of pints. If 6,000 people right now could reach into their pockets, chuck it to Shrewsbury Town, the community, we're talking, what's that, 30 grand?
Yeah, well, we have done our sums, and we do obviously a lot of fundraising events. So we have golf days and marathon runs that we're arranging, and sleep outs, and all these great events. It's going to cost us around 45,000 just in lost fundraising income. We think, as a charity, in terms of our face-to-face delivery that we've shut, it's cost us £140,000 over this first 3 months. Now, we have been lucky to get a certain amount of grants back towards that, but there's a reason why we're furloughing staff, put it that way. Otherwise, we'd have them all working, because we are at capacity, if not more, at the moment. So, yeah, any sort of funding that can go towards that. We have said if there is an underspend on our isolation packs, that we'll continue to do a project in that area in terms of social isolation, and that might be in terms of promoting more of the elderly to come to games and having them at a safe place within games to engage with. So, like I said, any like charity is going to say the same. Any financial benefit or income donation we can have is gratefully received at this point. And I know it's difficult in a market that is saturated with the great work that the NHS are doing, and how much is being thrown into the NHS at the moment, which is needed. But there's this second string of charities like ourselves that are doing great work that will also need supporting over this time.
Yeah, I think the thing is the difference being with the NHS thing. The NHS funding goes over a nationwide scale. It goes to the NHS, which then I don't know how it works. I'm not going to pretend like I do. But like you guys are like in the core of the community. You know that's where you guys are. That's where that money goes. It goes directly into community. So that's the benefit right there. Maybe we should have you spoke to Glyn Davis from Salopcast. See if you can jump on there because he has quite a lot of listeners to his show.
Yeah, we've done a bit with with Glyn in the past, and he's been on one of our quiz shows that we've actually ran during this time in lockdown as well. So yeah, it might be worth going on there in the next couple of weeks and just opening up as well. So I might give him a shout.
Yeah, that'd be great. I'm sure he'd really appreciate that. You've been a fantastic guest, and I really have a passion to helping the community, and I love working with you guys. Hopefully, when everything's up and running again, we can get a few shows together, and you can work together with stuff
Definitely.
like that. Yeah, I really like this. So it's STITC.co.uk. Did you say?
.co.uk, yeah.
Make sure you go there, guys, listeners. Have a look. Just drop them a few quid if you can, just to help them out, because these isolation packs, the visits to people, the phone calls, the tablets, all these sort of things, these initiatives that Shrewsbury Town community are doing, they mean the world to the people that they interact with. So that's what you're offering. People sat at home, on their own, not being able to speak to people. A tablet gets dropped through their door that they can borrow from the club, where they can now interact with the community that they were once part of. So that means the world to people. So if you can do that, please do. It means a lot. Well, thank you very much for joining us. It's been really nice chatting to you. Please come on again if you want. If you guys got new initiatives that have come up, we'd love to speak to you. So thank you very much for joining us.
Perfect. Thank you very much.
No, that's been great. Guys, make sure you check out our website where all of our audio is available. I try to update it as much as I can, but you can go directly to our website, which is www.theshrewsburybiscuitpodcast.co.uk. You can listen to our audio directly off there. And like I said, I update it as much as I can. And that's made for us by our friends at Web Orchard. If you need a website building, the world's going to start coming out of our caves, and we're going to start making our own things, and people are going to need as much help as possible. Make sure you go to Web Orchard. They make amazing, beautiful websites, and they can help you there. Jamie, thank you so much for joining me again. You've been a great guest. I'd love to have you on again. Make sure you guys catch us next week. Thank you very much. Peace out.
Cheers.